Today, I run a profitable business with no employees. I work from coffee shops, airports, hotels, and sometimes from a beach halfway across the world. I have no investors, no meetings all day, and for the first time in my life, I feel completely free. And here's the crazy part. It took me over 40 years, half a dozen failed businesses, and even most people think that entrepreneurship is building the biggest business possible, raising millions of dollars in capital, hire dozens of employees, open a nice office downtown, working 80 hours a week, and maybe, just maybe, one day you will finally find freedom. I believe that too, but after chasing businesses after businesses, startups after startups, working in corporate America, starting companies that failed, owning restaurants, launching my own beverage brand, and helping dozens of entrepreneurs realize their dreams, I discovered something I never expected. The business that gave me the most freedom, the most happiness, and surprisingly the most profit was the smallest one I built. Today, I run a business completely by myself. No employees, no investors, no office, just my laptop, my phone, and an internet connection. Some weeks I'm working in Los Angeles. Other weeks I'm working in Tokyo. Sometimes in the Philippines. Other times in Spain and Portugal. Basically wherever I want. My name is Rick, and I'm a solo entrepreneur. And after years of trying to build the perfect business, I finally realized that what I wanted wasn't the bigger company. I wanted a better life. This channel is about that journey. It's for the solo entrepreneurs, the digital nomads, people who are tired of chasing someone else's definition of success. And over the coming months, I want to feature incredible entrepreneurs who quietly build amazing businesses, often on their own, without employees, and tell their stories. But before I tell their stories, I think it's only fair that I tell you mine first, because my journey didn't start from my laptop. It didn't start in Silicon Valley. Heck, it didn't even start in America. It started in the basement of my grandparents' house in the Philippines with 10 live chickens. You see, I grew up in the Philippines, right in the middle of a busy city. And every morning, before sunrise, my grandmother would wake up and make the same trip to the local wet market to buy fresh chickens to feed our family. It wasn't convenient. The market was crowded and it was very far from our house. And back then, it wasn't the safest place to be. And as a 10-year-old, I kept asking the same question. Why do we keep going to the chickens instead of bringing the chickens to us? That was probably the first entrepreneurial thought that I ever had. I didn't know what entrepreneurship was. I just knew there was a problem that needs to be solved. So I convinced my cousin to help me build 3 chicken coops in my grandmother's basement. Then I found a local farmer from the province who was willing to sell me baby chickens for a really cheap price. For the next 4 months, before school, after school, every single day, I fed them, cleaned their cages, made sure they were healthy. I wasn't playing a businessman. I was one. And eventually, those little chickens became adult chickens. Now I had another problem. Who's gonna buy them? The funny thing is, I already had a buyer before I even started this venture. My very first customer was my grandmother. She bought every one of my chickens at the same price what she would have paid for at the local wet market. I even wrote an invoice by hand because I wanted to make it feel like it was a real business. And holding that money in my hands after months of hard work was one of the proudest moments of my childhood. Of course, there was one unexpected problem. After spending 4 months raising those chickens, they became my pets, my friends. And when my grandmother cooked them for dinner, I could not eat a single bite. I had grown way too attached. So my business was profitable, but emotionally, it was a disaster. And the lesson I learned was that just because a business makes money doesn't mean it's the right business for you. 4 years later, everything changed. My mother and I immigrated to the United States to reunite with my estranged father, who was serving in the US military. I still remember landing in Los Angeles like it was yesterday. To me, America wasn't just another country. It was a land of opportunity. This was a place where people came with nothing and built incredible lives. And I told myself, one day, I will be successful. I will build something extraordinary. But the problem was, dreams are easy. But reality, that's a different story. After graduating from Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles with a degree in finance, I took what most people would consider a safe path. I worked at a corporate bank in the foreign exchange department, helping companies buy and sell currencies from around the world. On paper, it was a great career, good salary, great coworkers, very interesting clients. I had the chance to work with tech companies, fashion brands, media companies, movie studios, even businesses that you would recognize today. I learned how businesses operate behind the scenes, how they make money, how they grow, how they fail. Looking back, those years became the foundation of my life's training. But every morning, I felt like something was missing. I wasn't building my dream. I was helping others build theirs. So I quit. But that's when the education really began. Because over the next 20 years, I failed over and over and over again. I started an earthworm farm that turned garbage into fertilizer. Terrible idea. I could not get the earthworms to make enough fertilizer for me to make money. Then I started importing rare fruits from Australia that nobody's ever seen before. But a huge flood wiped out all the crops and my profits. And the best one yet, I bought a small French bistro. But a few weeks after taking over, my head chef quit, packed his bags, left his wife, and moved back to France. Guess who became the head chef? Moi. Now let me tell you something. I have many things, but I'm definitely not French, and definitely I wasn't a chef. Every business taught me something. Negotiation, marketing, operations, sales, leadership, and most importantly, people often ask successful entrepreneurs what their biggest advantage is. For me, it wasn't intelligence. It wasn't money. It wasn't connections. It was simply this. They never stopped trying. There's a quote that I love. It goes something like this. A winner is just a loser who tried one more time. That quote became my life. Every failure was a fuel to my fire. Every mistake was a lesson that I could have never learned in a classroom. And eventually, those lessons led me to the business that finally changed everything. Eventually, I started a beverage company producing non-alcoholic ginger beer from my tiny apartment in Los Angeles. This wasn't another side project. This was a business that I've been dreaming about for years. I poured everything into it. Long days, late nights, trade shows, sales calls, countless product tastings. And slowly, things started happening. Restaurants started saying yes. Bars started to carry our products. Then the big one came. We landed at Aero One. If you live in Los Angeles, you know what that means. It's like a musician being signed to their first record deal. For me, it felt like years of hard work finally paying off. Then a major investor saw and believed what we were building. He invested big money into the company and then purchased a manufacturing facility so we could produce our own beverages and scale much faster. It felt like we finally made it. But success has a funny way of creating new problems. You see, manufacturing facilities are expensive, very expensive. To keep the factory running, we needed more production. So we started helping other beverage companies manufacture their products at the facility. One client became 5, 5 became 20, 20 became dozens. Before I knew it, I wasn't building my beverage company anymore. I was helping everyone else build theirs. Ironically, the better I became at helping other founders succeed, further I drifted away from my own dream. Eventually, I wasn't an entrepreneur anymore. I had become just another employee. I had a good paycheck, a respected position. People thought I was successful, but deep inside, I wasn't happy. Every morning felt the same. Wake up, go to work, long meetings, emails, solving problems, rinse, repeat. Have you ever reached your goal only to realize that it wasn't the life that you actually wanted? That's exactly where I found myself. I'd spent decades chasing after success, but somehow I had lost the freedom I wanted in the first place. That realization sent me to the lowest point of my life. I knew something had to change. I just didn't know what. So I did something that sounded completely irrational. I bought a plane ticket to Spain and I decided to walk. Not for a weekend, not for a vacation. I walked over 500 miles across northern Spain on the Camino de Santiago. 5 weeks, one backpack, one pair of hiking shoes, and thousands of hours alone with my own thoughts. Looking back, that walk changed my life far more than any business ever did. Out there, without meetings, without deadlines, without distractions, I finally heard one voice that I have been ignoring for years. My own. I realized something that completely changed the way I viewed success. I didn't want a bigger company. I didn't want more employees. I didn't want another title. I wanted freedom. Freedom to decide where I work and who I work with, and how I spent my life. That single realization became the foundation for everything that happened next. Because when I came home, I didn't start another business startup. I designed an entirely different way of living. I started a new life. When I came back from Spain, I wasn't the same person. People often think that the Camino gave me answers. It didn't. What it gave me was something much more valuable: clarity. For the first time in my life, I stopped asking, how do I build the biggest business? And then I started asking a completely different question. What kind of life do I actually want to live? It sounds like a simple question, but it changed everything. I realized I didn't want to spend my life chasing bigger offices, more employees, or more meetings. I didn't want to build a business that owned me. I wanted to build a business that gave me my life back. When I returned to work, I started looking at something that I have overlooked for years. When helping dozens of beverage companies launch their products, I'd become deeply connected to ingredient manufacturers from all over the world. Every day, I was sourcing vitamins, botanical extracts, sweeteners, flavors, all sorts of functional ingredients. Everything a food and beverage company needs to bring their product to life. Because of the enormous volume that I was purchasing, I had earned the trust of suppliers from all over the globe. I wasn't just another customer anymore. I had relationships. And in business, relationships are one of the most valuable assets you can ever have. And then one day, another light bulb went off. What if I stopped manufacturing products and instead became the bridge between the ingredient manufacturers and the brands? No warehouses, no factories, no employees, just relationships, knowledge, and trust. That idea became my new company now, Ingredient Brokers. Today, I help food, beverage, and supplement companies source high-quality ingredients from all over the world. Sometimes I'm negotiating with a manufacturer in China, and sometimes I'm talking to an energy drink startup in California, and other times I'm helping an entrepreneur launch the very first product I've always dreamt of launching. And the amazing part is I can do this from anywhere in the world. My office isn't a building anymore. Sometimes it's a coffee shop in Tokyo. Sometimes it's a beautiful beach in the Philippines. Sometimes it's a tiny apartment in Spain or Portugal. Sometimes it's just my dining room table. All I need is a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection, and all the business relationships that I've spent years building. People often ask me, don't you want to hire employees to help you grow your company? Maybe one day, but today I'm exactly where I want to be. For years, I believed success meant building something bigger. Now I believe that success is building something that gives you options. Options to have lunch with your family on a Tuesday. Options to book a plane ticket without asking anyone for permission. The option to close your laptop, pour yourself a glass of wine, and watch the sunset without feeling guilty. The options to choose your client instead of taking every opportunity that comes your way. To me, that is wealth. I've met people who own companies worth millions of dollars, but they can't take a vacation because everyone depends on them. And I've met people who don't make nearly as much money, yet they wake up every morning excited about their lives. That's when I realized money isn't that important, but it does create opportunities. It provides security. But after a certain point, time becomes more valuable than money because money can always be earned again. Time cannot. Once it's gone forever. And for the first time in my life, I don't wake up counting the days until weekend. I don't dream about retirement. I don't spend Sunday afternoons dreading Monday morning. I've built a life I genuinely enjoy living. And to me, that is the greatest return on investment that I've ever made. Now I want to be clear about something. This channel is not about convincing everyone to quit their jobs tomorrow. Entrepreneurship isn't easy. And being a solo entrepreneur definitely isn't easy. There are days when I question everything. Days when deals fall apart. Days if I wondered if I made the right decision. But every challenge feels different when you're building something that belongs to you. Every obstacle has a purpose. Every win feels personal, and every lesson makes you stronger. This channel is for people who believe that there's another way. Maybe you're building a one-person business. Maybe you're learning how to become a digital nomad. Maybe you're still working a corporate job while planning your escape. Or maybe you're simply searching for a life that feels a little more like your own. Wherever you are, whoever you are, you're welcome here. And over the coming months, I'll be featuring incredible entrepreneurs, creators, influencers, freelancers, consultants, investors, and digital nomads. And if you feel like there's value here, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. Some of the people that I'll be featuring, you've probably never heard of, but I promise you, many of them have built extraordinary lives, not because they're famous, not because they're billionaires, but because they design a life that reflects what success means to them. We'll talk about business, we'll talk about money, we'll talk about failures, we'll talk about travel and living abroad, maybe talk about food and culture, but more than anything, we'll talk about freedom, because I truly believe the future belongs to the people who can create value from anywhere in the world. And if that's the kind of life you're working toward, I hope you'll join me. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below and tell me where you're watching from and what kind of business you're building or dreaming about building. And I read every comment because this isn't just another YouTube channel. My hope is that this becomes a community, a place where entrepreneurs encourage each other, share ideas, share failures, celebrate wins, and remind each other that success doesn't have to look the same for everyone. Thank you for spending this time with me and allowing me to share my story. It has taken me nearly 40 years to become the person sitting in front of this camera today. And somehow, I feel like this journey is just the beginning. Until next time, keep building, keep exploring, keep choosing freedom, and start doing what you love. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.